What's something that's not a cult, but feels like a cult? Salesforce. No, I don't want to build a community. Go hiking or join 100 online classes to learn the basics. Make a couple of well-explained, to the point training videos FFS. I work as a Salesforce admin and those trailheads are terrible. They make it sound so easy and shit. But your company's Salesforce instance looks nothing like the shit you see in the trailhead. I almost feel like they are just a marketing tool. Beachbody, especially the coaches. Nutriboom. Please sign here that you've seen Debbie Stobbelman and find her to be happy, healthy, and alive. X_. Debbie dead. Debbie real dead. The Herbalife organization. They were charged with being a pyramid scheme, but they still operate in a similar way. There are several people I grew up with who became hooked on it, and they definitely act like they're in a cult. I worked with a Herbalife rep, and we got along well until one day we were talking about the gym, and he was giving me tips. The conversation ended up as a sales pitch for me to buy the products he was selling, and I honestly didn't talk to him much after that. I've had to stop talking to a friend because her BF sells CBD through an MLM. She makes a shit ton of money training and selling horses and is a big name in her profession. Why she lets him do this shit, I do not know. MLMs, but especially Mary Kay. I went to a convention once as the guest of a consultant because she was trying to get me to join. It was very Stepford. Also, she didn't tell me you were expected to dress up, so I showed up in jeans and a hoodie. Call me Kevin's subscribers. It's not a cult, I promise. Millimeters, yes, definitely not the cult of Gympicans. Aha, yes, definitely not a cult. I don't know why anyone would think that. Praise Jim. Forced school songs that talk about being a part of the school forever. School spirit. I can understand it for university, but not for high school or below, which I didn't have a choice in attending. I went there because it was the school I ended up being sent to. Ergo I should be proud of it. I don't get it. I mean, it's the same thing of being born somewhere and being proud of it. I love my city of Milwaukee, but it's not like I had much of a choice. Peloton. Seriously. My dad hasn't stopped talking about his since getting it a year ago, and went so far as to buy me one for Christmas this year, which is super generous and my fat ass will totally benefit, but feels like I'm being indoctrinated into something. The instructors are really intense and say culty things. I think the idea is to physically torture you to the point that you don't notice you're being programmed to spread Peloton gospel to anyone who will listen. I've been so bored that joining a cult where I get hotter sounds okay though. My mom and I got bikes this year. I love it. And I love the community. But yeah, it's totally a cult. The Holy Church of CrossFit. I'm a member of the not quite as well known Church of Orange Ethery. If you ask us about proper rowing technique, we'll all start chanting at you. Legs, core, arms, arms, core, legs. Rowing is 60% leg drive, power, patience, patience, apostrophe, semicolon. When I first joined 5 years ago, I came home with my little folder of information and coupons to local businesses, a tote bag, a car magnet, and the heart rate monitor, and said to my husband, I think I just joined a cult, apostrophe. I like to call it CrossFit Light. It's slightly cultish, but not to CrossFit level. You get stronger, but with way less injury risk that you see in CrossFit. I miss it, but saving so much money with it cost. Curly girl method groups. Flatiron, jail. Hair dye, jail. Sulfates, you right to jail. Silicones, right to jail. Right away. No deep conditioning, believe it or not. Jail. We have the best hair in the world because of jail. Wash it too often. Right to jail. Wash not enough, believe it or not. Also jail. Edit. We have special jail for people who pay to buy Reddit awards. Some workplaces. The ones that push the we're all family here attitude especially. I worked in a place that tried to convince the employees we were a family. They basically meant that they would abuse you and expect you to take it. Because family, they actively discourage current employees from socializing with former employees. If an employee left because he was fired, it was because he was a bad example to the others and had to be excised from the group. If an employee left because he got fed up and quit, it was because he was a bad apple anyway, but they had not legitimate reason to fire him yet. Either way, that former employee is no longer one of us and should be avoided at all costs. One employee was chastised for liking too many of a former employee's FB posts. Close bracket. Working for a non-profit. They tend to refer to employees as a family working for a cause, which won't be culty on its own, but they definitely use it to manipulate employees, to work themselves half to death and set a culture where boundaries are thought of as not being invested in the mission. They also use your passion for the mission to justify working you harder / paying you less. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my job and what I get to do, but I'm old enough to see what's been done to me over the years. The rotating door of young employees who are worked to burn out and replaced though, I feel bad for. It's a hard lesson to learn. Edit. Wow. Thank you all for the genuinely kind comments, feedback and commiseration. I had no idea this comment would resonate with so many people. I truly appreciate that you took the time to share your stories with me. Got told we weren't paid a lot because we were doing something we were passionate about. I was one of those that had no boundaries and burned out. Getting my masters to become a NP manager and help stop the burnout culture madness. I'm not really that passionate about what we do. Can I have a raise? Apostrophe. This. I totally get how they managed to wrap this up, but that's such an shitty argument. Hey, let's make a deal. Money for work. But just if you don't like it. UHH, and if you don't like it, we won't take you. So basically you owe us work, but won't get paid much, and PLS overwork yourself. Thanks. Eating disorders and any pro-eating disorder sites. Those who have an eating disorder often view their disorder as their best friend, giving them names like Anna and Maya. And then there are those sites to make it worse. They treat eating disorders like they are sacred and often post rules in a cultish way. One site I used to visit in my dark days even had the 10 commandments of Anna now. If that doesn't sound cultish, IDK, what does? Don't even make me start about the weightless coaches on there. Edit. I'm glad to read the stories of everyone here who overcame their eating disorder. I'm proud of you. It's a hard journey at any point. I hope that many more people will recover from that disorder. That's why I'm glad that people are here to spread awareness. Thank you. I just went through at least 24 top replies and shocked Burning Man isn't listed. Yeah, Albaners are ducking weird. Source. I was one/am one who has critical thoughts about how things work, yet have found ideas are only cool if you're popular. This is fascinating. I've wanted to go for a long time for the music and art, but could not stand the vibe people got about it who went. I remember friends going and suddenly totally changing their friend groups. And a friend saying here's cool, here's a burner. It's really sad to me though. I'm a lover of less commercial electronic music and would love to see the amazing art and cars. But I feel like I'd find the burners the most exhausting aspect. Only really because they preach being yourself and yet they all kind of look/act the same. AA. I'm an AA. I like AA. It saved my life. But it is cultish a lot of the time. Also in AA, also love AA, also agree. The Order of the Arrow and the Boy Scouts. Technically an approved organization, but it's cultish as hell. It's funny, because they make you do this big induction camp out. And the day after I got back from mine, my English teacher gave a lecture on how to identify a cult, and it hit a lot of red flags. Edit. Good lord. Apparently nothing gets people talking, like reminiscing about being in a cult. I thought someone was calling me because I was getting so many messages. How I survived a day in the woods on an orange, an apple, and a chicken bouillon cube. Multi-level marketing. I recently had a conversation with one of my friends who's obsessed with being a girl boss, so she joins all these pyramid schemes all the time. I just joined blah blah. I already forgot the name. Me. What is that? It's the company that does multi-level marketing. It's so great. You should see how much money the people at the top have. They basically became millionaires in a couple of years. Me. You joined another pyramid scheme? OMG, it is not a pyramid scheme. It's an MLM. People get those two confused all the time. MLMs are serious. This is a real business and it makes lots of money. They taught us all about the difference between MLMs and pyramid schemes during orientation. I hate that people don't get the difference. Sigh. Back in my university years I was in a student organization named AIESEC which offered students international apprenticeships. For me it totally felt like a cult. I went on a AIESEC project into Kyrgyzstan for 6 weeks. I can confirm that it felt like a cult and was run very incompetently/dishonestly. Taught me many great lessons though. NR1 being stay away from AIESEC. Some fandoms, especially K-pop fandoms. My Little Pony 2. I watched that show for a couple seasons back in the day, after wondering why several of my friends were hyping it up, including one that really surprised me by liking the show. Friendship is Magic. Pretty good show. Quite funny. Took a peek or 2 or 3 into the fandom, though, and Jesus Christ, it was very well. No wonder people who watch the show have a bad reputation. Got 'em. Apostrophe. Some families. If you're inside the family, you are accepted no matter what, and you don't question anything. If you're outside the family, you are treated politely, but don't really matter much, unless you act as part of the family. If you were part of the family, but betray them, you are excommunicated, and they spread lies about you. Whenever my wife and I see signs in people's houses that say something like, "This is a happy family," or "This family lives, laughs, and loves," we like to call it household propaganda. We tend to picture those families the way you describe here. Disney. If you've ever known anyone who has worked at Disneyland, they will talk your ear off about how it's the happiest place on earth, and how lucky they are to work there. Well, pre-pandemic. Working at Amazon. Hell. Just interviewing with Amazon feels like an initiation with all the leadership principles and whatnot. High school clubs, where you spend a lot of time together. Marching band and theater are the ones that come to mind for me. This is extremely true of theater. Even into the professional ranks. Too many gurus. Too little pay. Too many abuses. Yeah. I studied theater for 2 years in college, and it got to the point where there was definitely a cult-like atmosphere when I decided to leave and study engineering. Instead, there was even a girl who sat me down and told me that God gave me the gift of acting and that by choosing to ignore that gift I was ignoring God. Yeah. Shit was weird. I'm a lot happier in engineering. Marching band. If you know, you know. Mega churches. The ones that air on TV with a crowd that rivals sports teams. Owns sports arenas and has its pastors fly in private jets. There. I said it. The televangelists. Sororities. There's a really good episode of King of the Hill, where the central plot involves the characters being unable to distinguish between a sorority and a cult, and getting into trouble. Diet culture. Keto. Paleo. Dash. When I saw keto pop up, it reminded me of the Atkins diet my mom was on for a hot minute way back when. Flat Earth Society. Their inability to understand that the earth is not flat baffles me to oblivion. IKR, it's absurd people still think the earth is flat. The hardcore deaf community. Him talking the kind who insist that being deaf isn't a disability. Intentionally seclude themselves from the hearing world and protest against cochlear implants. Elon Musk's fan followers. Funny thing is he clearly had a social media campaign running to change his image for the better. At first everyone pretty much knew he was part wacko. Then he gets on the Junior podcast, smokes weed. Then all of a sudden he is this grand meme lord who browses Reddit and thus is great. Politics. Lately, yay, people that go super hard for politicians are super culty lol. Agreed. I see people with their cars covered in stuff for their candidate of choice, and I just don't get it. There is no political candidate that I care about or love enough to have my car wrapped with an image of their face. I don't know if it reaches cult status, but bidet owners often sound like religious fanatics. moms that hang out exclusively with other moms, walking their toddlers, sitting around the playground, talking about baby related stuff. Agreed. I wanted to socialize with the spouses of my husband's coworkers, so we could be comfortable at social events and maybe make some good friends. As soon as they found out we don't have kids, I was excluded from conversations and was on the receiving end of comments like, oh, you won't understand, you don't have kids etc multiple times. Some of them made plans to meet in front of me and didn't make eye contact with me or acknowledge when I said, oh, that sounds fun, and ultimately I just faded away. It was sad b/c. I felt like we shared other interests, but not having a functional baby maker booted me out of the club. 21 Pilots fanbase. I had someone tell me I was ableist once because I said I don't like them. LMAO, this gave me a good laugh. Hey PSSST. Please subscribe and like.